What's up, everyone? Azario here, and welcome to my third video for the E3 uh, conference 2014. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about the the Microsoft Xbox E3 conference, and giving you my thoughts on everything that has happened. And before I get started, let me just say that there were several moments where I wasn't able to catch everything that was being said, and it was to no fault of my own. One of the reasons why I wasn't able to catch everything that was being said, saying like really down to the fine detail, was because of the stream kept cutting on and off, and like it kept lagging and it kept buffering, and it was like that for everybody, and really not just me. So I'm surprised if everybody got, or if everybody ends up with just little bits of detail that was left out of the stream, just because of that reason, as well as there were several moments where there or like where those people were like talking so fast that I couldn't type as fast to catch every little thing that they were talking about, but I did catch down like the bulk of it. So at least you guys will understand what's happening. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not down to every little bitty detail, but you guys will be able to understand, something like what was going on during the conference. So with that being said, first off, I would like to say that Xbox, at Microsoft Xbox, their conference at 2013, I have to say was very, very, very disappointing. And from my perspective, when it came to this year's um, E3 conference, I felt they had nowhere to go but up. I mean, after you reach the lowest point where, or as low as you would want to go, so to speak, and you don't want to go any lower, you have nowhere to go but up. And they actually were in that position. And I couldn't see how that they could fuck up anymore. I mean, like they got rid of the people that were, you know, that were causing problems for them, that had some negative press on them, and they moved away from those individuals. Certain people got fired. It was a guy's name that I can't even remember, but he went on to become a part of Zuno, or like some fucking phone company, or like some phone music company or something like that. But like they moved away from that guy, as well as they during this conference they did one thing, and they focused straight on games, and that's what they should have did last time. I mean, they did a complete 180 from what they did in 2013, and let me just tell you that I couldn't be more happy than to see the things that I saw at this Microsoft Xbox E3 conference of 2014. They did an amazing job. So first, let me get started off with saying that the Xbox uh, conference kicks off with the head of Xbox, Phil Spencer. He talks about how they're going to show off games during the conference, and how they share a passion with Sony, Nintendo, etc. And he thanks that all of the supporters for sticking with them, you know, through all of the tough times that they were going, what I'm saying, like, with Xbox's DRM policy and all that negative feedback that they got from that. Um, he just wanted to take the time to say thank you, which I honestly feel which was necessary compared to what, I mean, just considering what they did last time. Like, they should have started off with a big apology, and like they didn't necessarily apologize per se, but they did acknowledge and say thank you to all those that stuck with them. What I'm saying, like, through that rough period that they were going through. And please forgive me because my throat is a little bit sore. Like, I've been talking all day. Um, but yeah, like, I'm not used to talking this much, but my throat is a little bit sore, so I might have to take a break during the video here and there, you know, saying like just in order for me to, you know, saying like take a drink of water or something like that. And yeah, so I just wanted to forewarn everybody about that. But yeah, so the first game that the conference opened up with was Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, and the demo starts off with you playing as Michael, and you're in this pod, and you're falling to your drop point, and your pod is under heavy fire, and the door gets blasted on. Gets blasted open, and one of your teammates is about to fly out, and they're holding on for dear life. So another one of your teammates is holding on to him, making sure that they don't fly out while you're trying to reach for this latch and, you know, in order to close the emergency door, so that he won't fall out. So you finally reach it, you close the door, and then the pod lands. And when you finally land, like you see a bunch of fighting happens, like you see bullets flying everywhere, and like a whole bunch of grenade smoke, you know, everywhere. Like pretty much like there's just a lot going on. And you walk over to your commander, and he tells you, you know, just go ahead and just head into action. You know, saying like head over here and, you know, be careful. And when you head into the battlefield, like you crawl in this ditch, and this big mech just steps over you, and it's just like, damn, that motherfucker's big. And it's crazy. And then they cut to another scene just instantly where you're fighting these flying drones that looks like a school of fish, and you're ripping off doors on cars, and you're using them as shields, trying to block those drones from trying to ram you. And then one of your teammates, then after a little fighting, one of your teammates one of your teammates tries to plant a bomb inside this ship, and when he puts the bomb in there, the door automatically closes on his arm, and as you're trying to free him, you know, you can hear the bomb beeping as it's getting ready to go off, and then eventually Michael gets pushed off by his teammate, and the guy that had his arm trapped in the ship, you know, he unfortunately, you know, sound like he blows up with the ship. And then it was announced that all of these add-ons will be available first on Xbox. So seems to be like a pretty good DLC. And yeah, man. And I'm looking forward to seeing what that is like. Um, an add-on, excuse me, not DLC, but but yeah. Next up, Dan Greenwald comes out, the creative director of Forza Motorsport 5, to talk more about it, and he speaks about the free updates and new features that they have coming into the game, including a new Nürburgring racetrack. Please forgive me if I can't pronounce that name right. Nürburgring ring, Nürburgring racetrack that will be available starting today, and it's free. And then he brings out Ralph Fulton of Playground Games, um, to talk about Forza Horizon coming September 30th. And then they play a trailer of the game, and it's a racing game with like fancy cars, and the tracks look promising, but it's hard to impress a racing game, you know, or like it's hard to really leave a solid impression with a racing game just from a trailer, in my opinion. And you know, of course, like the trailer announced that it was like seamless multiplayer and like dynamic weather, which you don't really give a fuck about. You just want to see the racing game in action. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't give a fuck about the weather. I mean, yeah, it's cool if it adds an effect to the race, and maybe it makes it harder to drive or easier to drive. You know, like depending on what the weather is like. And seamless multiplayer is cool, but I would still like to see the racing game in action. And unfortunately, like they didn't have like a demo or anything for that. So, you know what I'm saying? Like all they had was a trailer, but it seemed cool. Like it seemed like an okay racing game. Next up, they had a trailer from uh, Turtle Rock Studios. Uh, that trailer plays, and the creators from Left 4 Dead are also involved in this game that they're showing. Uh, and it's a shooter called Evolve, and there are different classes you can play as: assault, trapper, medic, and a please forgive me if I get this wrong, because like they were, so like playing it kind of fast as I was typing it. But an assault, a trapper, a medic, and a uh, defender or a monster. So you can either play as one of the four human, you know, classes, or you can play as an enemy monster that's fighting against them. So that was pretty cool. Next up, Vincent Point Brand comes out to speak more about Assassin's Creed Unity and how it takes place during the French Revolution in Paris, 1789. I finally figured out that date. You're able to create your own brotherhood with three other players, and in the demo, they had players that were dropping into the game one by one out of nowhere instantly. Now, it wasn't said if that they can do this, instantaneously, or if they had to be at certain points, like before the other players could join you or not. But it seems to be from the demo that any player can drop in at any time, and they were working together to complete missions and objectives. And when they dropped into like this room where their target was, they tossed them out the window together, and like this big mob of people that was outside waiting on the guy, pretty much to get thrown out, they chopped his head off and they carried it around on a stick, and they were celebrating. It was just like, it was brutal, man. It was real brutal. So next up, they played a trailer from BioWare of an adventure game. Like you see various classes fighting giant monsters, and it turns out that it was um, Dragon Age Inquisition. Excuse me, I gotta take me a drink of water. My throat is killing me. Oh man, but it will be coming first on Xbox. Oh, then they played another trailer, and like you see this military male, and he was taking cover behind a crate where these other guys, they had on like ski masks, and they were just shooting at him, and he was just taking cover. Now at first I thought this was just going to be like another military shooter type of game. Then out of nowhere, this punk rock kid just kicks down the door, and he shoots all the guys, like he's running on the wall, like he's doing crazy parkour and things like that, like he's sliding on the walls and things like that, and he just shoots them all down. And he goes back outside and he tells you about Sunset City and how there's this contaminated energy drink that's turning people into monsters, and how you're going to play the hero in this world. And then Ted Price, founder and CEO of Insomniac Games, comes out with a demo of Sunset Overdrive, which was the game. And you're seeing this character whose name hasn't been revealed drop into action right away. Like, there was literally like a name uh, just ripped down in the background, and then you just jump into the level. Like, that's just, what I'm saying, like how the demo got started. But yeah, like there, but he just jumps into action right away, and there was like rail grinding, and there was fire pyres, then he runs into this monster called the Herker, and he has like one huge arm and he has two little arms on the other side, and he was just running around blasting him, shooting him, and when he finally blows up after he beats it, like he grinds on the power lines, jumps onto roller coaster rails, and takes out to what seems to be like an electric energy sword or something like that, and he's slicing the monsters up, and the demo ended after that. And it's coming October 28th exclusively on Xbox One, but that game looks really fucking cool. Next, they played a trailer for Capcom for some DLC for Dead Rising 3. And forgive me if I can't remember the name because they literally clusterfuck the hell out of this name. Basically, in the DLC, what you're able to do is that you're able to dress up any character, Annie, Frank, and like the other two main characters from the other Dead Rising games. You're able to dress them up as any Capcom character with skills of those characters, and it looked fun. It really had me like, wow, they're actually doing this. But the name of the game, and again, forgive me if I can't get the name right, because the name was really a big clusterfuck, and you're gonna see what I mean in just 1 second. It was called Super Ultra Dead Rising Arcade EX Plus Alpha. Super Ultra Dead Rising Arcade Edition EX Plus Alpha or something like that. And it was just like, wow, did you really have to? I mean, damn, like that's a lot of names for like one title. I mean, shit. Like it's really like they took all of like the Street Fighter, names and they just cluster them all into one Dead Rising game. But even with that, it wasn't exclusively just Street Fighter characters that they had in there. I mean, of course, yeah, Street Fighter characters, but I seen characters being dressed up as characters from um Onimusha. I seen characters from like uh Captain Commando, etc. And it was like a lot going on in that DLC, and it was just like, why the fuck would you give it a name like that? Like that's hard to follow. Like you know how long a conversation would have to be just for you to get that one word out. Like damn. Then again, like this is one of those moments where the stream was messing up, and I didn't catch the guy's name, but he came out to talk about Dance Central, and then like the stream was fucking up again, and pretty much the only thing I heard was that Dance Central Spotlight is coming this fall with Disney's Fantasia songs. If I heard them right, again, this is one of those moments where like the stream was fucking up and I couldn't catch everything that was being said. So forgive me, but again, that was one of those things that wasn't my fault. That wasn't my fault. I just, like the stream was fucking up. What you want me to do? I mean, damn. Next, David Eccleberry comes out to talk about Fabled Legends, and they proceed to play a trailer where you see multiple characters going around, and you're going against these magical beasts. But not only that, not only can you play as these different characters, but you can also play as the villains. And as the villains, you're able to like make traps and set monsters in place and things like that to go up against the good guys. And in the end, all the good guys were going up against like this big giant orc, and they were working together. Like one guy was shooting the orc in the chest, and he was following the guy that was shooting him, and everybody else was like hitting him in his leg with swords. And finally, when the monster dropped, he had turned around, and the guy that was shooting him, he shoots him in the ass. I kid you not, he shoots him in the ass. He falls to his knees, and then does the female sorceress, she freezes him, and he breaks apart. And then the demo ends with a bunch of monsters coming to where they are. So it was pretty interesting to look at. And the beta for that game begins this fall. I think they had the actual date for that, but I don't know. Like it was some games that I think they had the date for it, but the stream was messing up and I couldn't hear it too well. So forgive me if they actually released a date and you guys know. So just please just post it in the comments because I need to, be as accurate with this information as possible. So if it was a release date for Fabled Legends, the beta, please let me know. Anyways, another trailer begins to play for an Xbox One exclusive for Project Spark, and it was a game that was announced last E3 where you can make your own worlds, make your own RPGs, and you can make your own enemies, you can make your own obstacles and things like that. and they introduced that you're now able to use the Galaxy World that was added to the list of worlds that you can use. And it was also featuring Conquer. Now, from the Nintendo 64 game uh, Conker's Bad Fur Day, like for those that remember that game, he's featured in Project Spark, so you guys can use him in the game now. Seems like, and that's a good, nice little add-on into the game. Also, another trailer played uh, following that, and you see like this small white pixie creature, and he's floating around, and he lands next to this big black shadowy creature, and then the camera cuts off to this giant black owl, and you know it's very um I don't want to say clusterfuck, but it's very hard to explain a game that didn't actually have a lot going on in it. You know what I mean? And it seems to be like some moments of sadness, like the shadowy figure that picked up that little light creature. It just based on the game's trailer, it seems like it raised the character, and then eventually that shadowy figure died once the creature got older, and the light creature, he's standing on this cliff, and this big dark owl is marching towards him, taking big monstrous stomps towards him, and he looks like he's gonna fight him. And the game cuts off, and it's called, and the game is called Ori and the Blind Forest, and that game looks somewhat similar to Child of Light. And I don't know if it was the same studio that created it, um, which I doubt, because I don't remember hearing Ubisoft's name in it. But um, I think it wasn't Ubisoft, but I think that it could have been Ubi Arts, which I think is still a part of my of not Microsoft, but Ubisoft. So there's a chance that that could have been made, something like by them. But forgive me again, like the stream was fucking up a lot. Like the stream that I was watching, it fucked up a lot. I had to catch the rerun of the stream because I didn't watch the first press, uh, you know, video. So I had to go back and watch the reruns. But the reruns were really fucking up a lot for a lot of people, and unfortunately, I was one of these people that it was fucking up for. So next the trailer plays, and you see Master Chief pulling this metal cocoon bomb out of this spaceship, and he pushes it out the ship, and he's holding on to like a chain that's on the back of it. And as he's holding on to it, he's falling towards the ship that's a ways away from him. Then he turns on the bomb, kicks it to the ship, and then the ship blows up. And then Bonnie Ross comes out to speak on this trailer, and she speaks on she speaks on like the end of Halo 4 and how this game Halo 5, The Last Guardians, is supposed to be about Master Chief's past and future coming together. So she announced that November 11th you'll be able to buy what's called the Master Chief Collection, and you can play Halos 1 through 4. And Dan Ayub comes out to speak more about it, and he says that the game will have everything unlocked, uh, you know, and then he announced that for the anniversary of Halo 2, you will be getting a fresh multiplayer launching. Well, not a fresh multiplayer necessarily, but you'll be getting a multiplayer launching exact the same way that it was launched 10 years ago for Halo 2. So that's coming along with the Master Chief Collection. So not only are you getting all four Halos in the Master Chief Collection with everything unlocked, so like maybe like weapons, armors, and all that, um, but not only will you be getting uh, a, a multiplayer for the Halo 2 game, that was launched exactly the way it was 10 years ago. Um, but also, you will be getting over 100 maps in the multiplayer. So they really went big, with for this game. And also, they announced that coming with the Master Chief Collection is also a series called Halo Nightfall, and it will have the story between Halo 4 and 5 that kind of ties it together. And then they showed a trailer for Halo 5 Last Guardians, and the multiplayer beta for that game will be available in the collection as well. So they really went all out for Halo, it seems like, this time. I mean, Halo has been one of the system sellers for Xbox for so like quite some time. I mean, for Xbox One, it was like the biggest game on that system. For Xbox 360, it was another Halo game that was, very popular. And now with Xbox One, it's like they're bringing that entire collection of games in one package so that people who may have never played them or fans that want to get their hands on all of them, like without having to go to like various stores to try to pick them up or whatever the case may be, they can get them in one big collection plus a multiplayer for Halo 2 plus over 100 maps plus the Halo Nightfall series plus a multiplayer beta for Halo 5 Last Guardians. So they're offering a lot for this. Now, they didn't mention pricing, but I'm assuming that it's going to be quite a bit considering that they're giving you a lot for it. I mean, I don't like. I'm not really one to saying to try to guess price ranges, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be more than $50. You know what I'm saying? Because they're giving you a lot in this game. Uh, I mean, in this collection, they really did a good job with that. So a big salute to Microsoft for doing that. Next, Phil Spencer comes back out and announced that you'll be able to play everything that was announced at the conference this holiday season, and then the trailer plays for what seems to be an indie game, but it's this kid. But what it is this kid that seems to be on the run for his life. Like he's jumping over obstacles. He's jumping over wild animals, which seems to be attacking him. Opening up latches. Pushing buttons to open up doors. It seems to be like an adventure or an adventure platforming slash puzzle game maybe, but the game is called Inside, and they did, I mean, like the game doesn't really seem to be too much, but like at least they showed something, for it. So always good to focus on games no matter what. So next up, Chris Charla comes out and he speaks on ID at Xbox. Now this is another one of those moments where the stream kept cutting off and kept blacking out, and like the audio was out of sync with the video and all that. So I couldn't really hear everything that he was saying. Um, like because of that reason. But I believe he said something about the independent developers can use ID at Xbox to create their games using the Xbox One engine, or like it was something along the lines of that, and that they would be able to do it for free, or like they were providing this service to them for free in order for them to do that. So if I heard them right, they did a pretty damn good job, with that. So considering that I didn't hear them all that well, I'm just gonna leave it and say that if that was the case, what I'm saying. Of course, like props on them for doing that, because they lost a lot of indie, what I'm saying, like partnerships last week. I mean, not last week, but last year, because of that entire, what I'm saying, like DRM policy nonsense. And plus all of the other negativity that came with the Xbox One at the 2013 E3 conference. So it looks like they're trying to make new partnerships with some other um, indie game developers, and much props to them for doing that. So next, this montage trailer played with like a variety of indie games in it, and I wish I could have wrote down all the names, but they were coming fast. Like they were just showing them like that, and the only ones I could really see was Mighty Number Nine, Wolfie, and Below. Like those are the only names that I were able to really get out of that variety of games that were saying like being shown in the video montage. So I liked what I seen for some of those games. I just wish that I would be able to get the names of them for you guys. But I'm pretty sure you guys will find out about them soon, and they're all for Xbox One. Um, Next up, a trailer played that was the world premiere, where you see this girl talking to this shrink, and the camera cuts to her getting chased by this wild bear, and she runs off this cliff and leaps with this pickaxe, slams into like this this other mountainside, and she's falling down, but she's trying to hold on with the pickaxe, and at the very last second, like the pickaxe actually grips onto the end of the cliff. Then she climbs back up into this small cave where this other team seems to be, and she shoots one of the guys in the back of the head, which was pretty damn sick. And turns out the name of the game is The Rise of the Tomb Raider. So Laura Croft is making a return, so to speak. And I don't know if the game is a prequel or if it takes place after the Tomb Raider game that was like released last year, because like they didn't really say, but it seems to be a prequel. But so like don't quote me on that. Next, John Mamias and Comrade comes out to show a demo of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Now this was kind of interesting because I never played any of the Witcher games, but I did see full playthroughs of The Witcher 1 and 2. And in this game, like you're running around as I believe he said like a mutant with enhanced senses to track down what you're hunting. And in the demo, there's a quest where you have to go find a griffin, and like you have to go kill a griffin. And the character goes and he shoots an arrow at the griffin, and it takes off, but he was leaving behind a trail of blood. And you could track the griffin, and you can follow it. Just follow that trail of blood, and it'll lead you to where the griffin was. And on his way toward the griffin, where the griffin was flying, he runs into like this band of enemies, and he takes him out, saves this woman who seemed to be in danger. And like you make choices in the game, and like because you stopped to help that woman, now you're able to go back to her, like for like whatever you need her for. So it seems like choices to help someone out can actually benefit you, or it can hurt you in the long run of the game. So it might make sense to stop and help this person out, saying like for the sake of the mission. I mean, or like for like the sake of later on in the game, or like you might need to ignore them and just go ahead and just complete the mission just for the sake of the mission. So that's what it seems like just based on the demo. But of course, that remains to be seen as a whole uh, when the actual game comes out. They didn't give a release date for it um, per se. But he then finds the griffin. Like the griffin, he's fighting it. He's slashing it with his sword. He's throwing magic in its face, throwing fireballs in its face. And then the game cuts to him riding on the back of a horse with the griffin head on the hook or on a hook, riding back to the village, and that was the end of the demo. Then it cuts to Ken Love, the creative director of Microsoft, to introduce Killer Instinct updates with like TJ Combo and things like that. And then he announced that he is bringing back a game from the original Xbox, I believe. And oh man, my throat is gonna fuck up. But anyway, let me give me some more water. Oh, man, I hope you guys are enjoying these reaction videos, and please forgive me if the quality isn't what you expected, but my throat it's really fucking killing me. Oh man. But but he announced that they're bringing back a game from the original Xbox, which is what I believe he said. But you see this guy sitting on this bench, and out of nowhere, like the city turns dark, and it turns into plain, and like the place just turns into ruins. And then this lady just appears out of like this pink mist, this pink mist energy that she had on her, and they begin to fight. And then the game cuts off, and it shows that the game is called Phantom Dust. Now, I don't know if anybody remembers that game. I never heard of it before, but you know, it looks like it can be about something, so I'm gonna just leave it at that. Next up, Ryan Bernard comes out to talk about Tom Clancy's The Division, which takes place in New York City that has been taken over by a virus that was released on Black Friday. And the trailer starts, and the first thing you hear are like gunshots from the distance. And once that segment ends, then the demo starts, and you see this guy standing in front of like this 3D map as he runs through this underground subway, trying to make it back to the surface. And like he's getting directions from this woman on his comm link, and you're taking out these factions in the area, and it looks pretty cool. It looks like a pretty cool FPS that's coming in 2015. Um, I can only say so much from the demo, but it looks like it's going to be pretty fucking fun. You know, so they did just enough to get me interested, which is what you're supposed to do with a demo. Next up, Hideki Kiyama, game director of The Legend of Zelda, comes out and plays a trailer, and you see this guy running from this giant monster, and he runs right in front of this dragon. So after this big crab-like monster comes from behind him, or as he's chasing him, he stops, and he's trapped in between this dragon that's in front of him and this monster that's behind him. And then he smiles, he rolls out the way, and then the dragon, you know, shoots fire at the creature that's behind him. Then, as the dragon has this creature pinned down, like he jumps at him, he bites him, he has him pinned down. The guy puts on headphones, listens to music, takes out his sword, and he slices off a piece of the monster. And what it seems like you're able to do in the game is, like, when you cut off a piece of the monster, it becomes a piece. It basically becomes like a full body armor suit, because that's what happened in the game when he sliced off that piece of the monster's foot. And you become an armored version of that monster, I guess you can say, like a humanoid armored version of that monster. Or maybe you develop certain skills, or like you get certain skills or certain abilities with that. So that's interesting to see. Uh, then, while the dragon has him pinned down, out of nowhere, like you see this Hydra in like the distance just come down and rip the monster apart that you just sliced a piece off of, and he just eats him. Like the monster just eats him, and the demo cuts off, and it's a game called Scalebound. Now that game right there really caught my attention. That game looks like it's going to be awesome. Next up, Dave Jones come out to talk about the Xbox One. To talk about an Xbox Dave Jones comes out to talk about an Xbox exclusive of this neon lights futuristic city where you see this guy, he's in his apartment and he's shooting pool, and you see, people trying to fly towards the building, but then he raises his arm up, and then these guns started shooting, uh, those people down out the sky, and then and there was three guys that had took positions around this building. One guy was on like sitting on top of a neon letter. One guy was driving a truck with a big explosive on the back, and another guy was in the far distance with a sniper rifle, uh, getting ready to aim at the truck. So then what happens is that the guy that was sitting on the neon light, he flips the switch, and this line of bombs just blows up around this building, and the building proceeds to fall over. And then the guy that was driving in a truck, he runs it up into the building, lunges it, and it gets jammed in the building, and then he gets out, out of the truck, and then the guy that was aiming with the sniper rifle, he shoots the truck from long range, and then the the building that the truck was lunged into, it flies toward the building where the guy was saying, like, playing pool, and it smashes right into him and it kills him. And that looked fucking amazing. And it was a game for Crackdown 3. uh it was a trailer for Crackdown 3. So that game right there looks pretty fucking good, man. Like, they seem like to have done a really good job with that game. Its art style is kind of like a cel shaded comic book style, and yeah, man, like, I'm eager to see what that game is like, because they seem to have done a fantastic job with it. Like, I'm eager to get my hands on that. So next, Phil Spencer comes back out and talks about some investments to improve the experiences with the Xbox. It was nothing crazy in particular. Then a montage trailer plays a variety of games, some of which that they didn't even showcase at the conference, and then that was the end. And I have to say, my overall feelings about this conference for the Xbox was that good fucking job. You guys made sure to stay, with what you said you were going to do and focus only on the games. Now, I wish some people would have came out and explained some of the games for the trailers that were being played, because I was a bit lost during some of the trailers. But for the most part, you guys did what you should have did last year, and that was focus only on the games. And you know what I'm saying? Not talking about the DRM, and avoiding questions about that had had some negative, you know, like, you guys got some backlash from that. And again, in my opinion, they had nowhere to go but up. I mean, after what happened last year, you went as low as you wanted to, as you would want to go, like, before you realize, okay, yeah, like, we really fucked up big time. We really got to show up this year at E3, make sure that we send the message that we are for the gamers, and we're going to showcase games, and we're not going to focus on smart glass like we did 50 million times at the 2013 E3 conference, and focus on fucking smart glass technology that nobody at the end of the day gives a fuck about. And they focused only on the games that are coming out, and they did a great job with that. And I'll say that it's a good comeback from what they did last year. Like, they did a complete, saying, like, 180. So that's all I have to say about the Xbox E3 conference. Unfortunately, like, I had to catch the rerun of it, and again, I do apologize that I couldn't get some of the finer details, but the stream kept going out, it kept cutting off, so I wasn't able to catch everything that I would have liked to catch, but I did get the bulk of it, and I hope you guys, enjoy this reactions video and this recap, and I hope that you forgive me, and I'm glad that you tolerated my voice and my throat acting up, and me having to pause at certain points in the video. But I had fun paying attention to the E3 conference. I hope that one day I can actually go, because E3 is the conference was, I believe, like 8 hours away from where I stay. Maybe if I would have took the train or something, like I would have actually been able to attend. But who knows? So like maybe next year I'll be able to go to E3. So that being said, thank you guys, and I'll see you guys later.